Hello. Oh my, did you guys hear any of that? Or was I literally just talking this entire, yeah. So I'm pretty sure I hit the live button on my new stream software and I was like live all alone. I was alone and I was live this entire time. So embarrassing. I'm clearly very technologically challenged. For about 7 minutes, I was just talking to myself apparently, and I figured you guys were on the live video because I saw your chats. Well, here I am now. Oh my goodness, I'm like Anyway, I'm working with all new equipment. There's like a restreaming software and different streaming codes and, just a lot of stuff that I'm not used to working with. So, hi. Hopefully the audio is really good too because I did step up my mic game, as you can see here. Hopefully you can hear me a lot clearer, even though you missed the last 7 minutes of what I was just saying. Okay, a couple of things that I want to mention. Moving forward, especially in the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be covering really real, really tangible topics. Like for whatever reason, it's hitting me hard that humanity just needs to realign these very fundamental aspects of your life and your reality. So tomorrow, I'm going to be talking all about money and finances and abundance and how to generate and curate more money and finances and abundance and working with manifestation and the law of attraction in the fifth dimension frequency. I know a lot of YouTubers and a lot of other people cover manifestation and law of attraction, but we're going to be taking it to a whole new level. So that's happening tomorrow. And then next Monday, I have a really strong pull to talk all about relationships. Okay, so I'll be talking about relationships and all of that good stuff. I'm kind of worried now that I'm actually going live in 2 different places. I'm just gonna double check. I'm like getting all like sweaty right now because I honestly. Okay, good. Okay, just 1 live video. That's good. Oh my goodness. Okay. So yeah, and then next week's going to be all about romantic relationships. We're going to talk about the 5 love languages, which obviously isn't my concept, but it's brilliant. But let's talk about the 5 love languages in a way that you've probably never even thought of before. So next week, romantic relationships, it's a good time to bring your partner into things. And at the same time, I highly recommend that even the single people come out to that video too, because I've been getting huge downloads about what you need to know as a single individual about 2021 and manifesting that partner, that soulmate, because those downloads have been coming as well. Okay, so yeah, lots of really fun stuff. And also with the new streaming software, I can actually do a lot of cool things. So on Thursday, this Thursday, for the members only video, it's going to be the first ever live members only video. So exciting. So for all of the members out there, be sure to mark it in your calendar this Thursday, 3 p.m. It's going to be live and it's going to be so much fun to have just the members participate in that. So check that out, and maybe I'll want to switch over the live Q&A to just the members as well, even though I do enjoy the fact that everyone gets to watch it and really take in that knowledge. And then right after this live video, as long as I can figure it out, I'm going to end this live video and I'm going to hop into another live video, just a really short one, because check what came in the mail. My YouTube plaque, award. So check that out, and that's going to be like a 5 or 10 minute unboxing video. I've never done an unboxing video before. I've never even really watched an unboxing video before, but I know that it's like really a lot of YouTubers do them, so why not unbox my YouTube award? So that's going to happen right after this video. And as you guys should probably know by now, this video will only be up for 24 hours, even though sometimes I forget to take it down and put it to the membership platform. So just be aware of that. Yeah. Okay, so without further ado, let's hop right into the questions and get down to business. A lot of the questions today are about reptilians, and that's awesome. Bring it on. You know, I can't believe we're at a place where you guys are so curious. And I'll say that the amount of complexities within these questions are really mind-blowing for me. Like, it just excites me so much that you guys are getting into the nitty-gritty of the information, because I love learning something new every time as well. All right, first question. This is a 6-month member, so thank you so much for being here for 6 months. Semina Baraza. Hi EA, if we are astral traveling and say we come across a bad reptilian, is there a way they could harm us, our astral body, or hold us hostage from going back to our human? Could they possibly kill us in a way that just brings harm to the human body or the light body? Okay, cool. This is a huge question. I've definitely astral traveled a lot, but I'm also limited by my own experience, right? So ultimately, from my understanding and experience in astral traveling, the biggest fear I find in astral traveling is there is always a possibility of going too far in the universe. I don't know what too far is, but you end up stretching the cord that you have that connects you to your physical body, your astral body to your physical body. I have heard of cases, even though I haven't witnessed it or experienced it with a client, but I have heard of cases of entities cutting and snipping the cord between your light body, your astral body, and your physical human body. And that's why I always put my astral body into an invisibility cloak, and I even cloak my cord, my grounding cord that centers me into my body. I cloak all of that with invisibility, so that's never an issue. I know that some people who do a lot of psychedelics or who go into an extreme psychosis basically have had a hard time finding their way back into their body. But as far as a reptilian attack on our light body or astral body, it's definitely more rare. There have been experiences that I've had where they've kind of put me into a position where I felt trapped, but ultimately we need to keep in our minds the truth of free will. They can never override our free will, ever. So as long as you're standing in your sovereignty and you know that you have ultimate power in the astral and you know you have ultimate power in the physical, nothing's going to harm you, okay? All right. Also, I do have a little, I'm going to show you guys this because it's really cool and I'm obviously nerding out. I don't know if you guys can see that. This is called a stream deck. It's for pro streamers. Obviously, I'm still pretty much a noob. But these buttons are quick buttons and they allow me to do different actions while I'm in a stream. So I'm going to test out some of these buttons right now. Obviously, the live button did not work for me, right? That did not work because I thought I was live. So let's just check it out here. Okay, so one of the options on the stream deck, there we go, is I can press a button and release a comment. So you can see that I just commented, but I didn't actually type it because it's a pre-written command on this little stream deck. So maybe the live button didn't work, but the comment buttons are working. So anyway, I'm trying to step up my game here. Okay, next question. Monica Kirshner, Besides free will, why are some people's contracts open while other people's contracts are more locked in? What are some of those determining factors? Great question. Okay, so ultimately, I have definitely channeled many clients. Some of the clients are like, hey, you don't really have things that you need to do in your contracts moving forward, right? And some of the people's contracts are like back to back, nonstop. Forgot to wear my wedding ring today. That's okay. I think I was really nervous about the streaming. Anyway, and so what I found is that the individuals who have very open contracts, like, hey, you can do anything you want to do, those individuals have learned a lot of lessons, and they're kind of back here just to observe. They're just back here for the ride. They're just back here to hold space, right? Other individuals who have very clear contracts at very specific moments in their life are kind of locked into that because they have a lot of karma to clear, they have a lot of lessons to learn, and there's a lot of things that they maybe didn't do while they were here. Before, right? And thank you so much, Sharma, as always, for that super chat. I do appreciate super chats, or even donations, or just signing up and being a member is great too. And I always see so many beautiful new members, so thank you for being here. So what determines someone's contracts is basically the lessons that they've learned. And a lot of starseeds, a lot of light workers, although we had to get rid of a lot of heavy karmic energy at the beginning of our lives in this lifetime, the rest of our lifetime is really open. If you want to be a crystal sound bowl healer, be a crystal sound bowl healer. If you want to be a Reiki practitioner, if you want to be a bus driver, you can do any of that. That's why it's difficult for me to say, your mission is blank. Your purpose is blank. It's not that simple with older souls because you're not necessarily locked into all of the lessons that you maybe needed to learn before. Good questions. All right, moving on to Amy Harris. Hi, EA. What will happen to the celebrities who participated in adrenochrome consumption and whatever else Hollywood's backstage garbage offered? What does 5D justice look like? This is a great question. So right now there are a lot of celebrities, politicians, okay? There's a lot of key players in our society from the past that are getting persecuted. Like I've mentioned before, Weinstein and Epstein, okay, did get persecuted. And I want to make a very clear comment because I recently had a copywriter who was a part of the team who was, rewriting my bios and helping me with, different wording of different things. She ended up quitting after working with the team for about 2 months, and the reason why she quit was because she didn't call me anti-Semitic. She said that I have anti-Semitic undertones within my content, and she specifically referenced like Jewish people drinking blood and the QAnon conspiracy. So I want to just make a statement right now that I've never ever talked about Jewish people, and I've never ever talked about the Democrats versus the Republicans. So I guess what QAnon or QAnon believers believe, because I don't know, because I've never really looked into what the beliefs are. I know a lot of you do follow Q. I know a lot of you are Trump lovers. And for me, I'm not on either side. And I want to make a very clear statement that even though I just mentioned the Epstein and the Weinstein, and I guess because of their last names, they're both Jewish, I'm assuming, I've never mentioned that there is one group in society that are all reptilian or that are all blood drinkers. It doesn't work like that, right? We can't just say that all reptilians are bad or all humans are evil or all Palladians are good. It just doesn't work like that. And that's why I needed to put out that video, that the corruptions within the Galactic Federation, just because they are here for unity consciousness also doesn't mean that they are all the good guys either. although, they get vetted and cleared and what have you. I just want to make a clear statement that I am not a Q believer or lover or follower, and I am not a Trump lover, believer, or follower. Yes, it's pretty wild that a lot of the things that I've channeled and experienced over the past 10 years are directly linked with that movement. There is a bit of concern that those movements in and of themselves remind me a lot of religion. And I'm just going to make this statement once, and I'm probably never going to come back to this statement, and you guys can take it or leave it. You can hate me or love me for saying this, all right? Religion, specifically Christianity and Catholicism, let's just call it Catholicism, will give us parts of the truth. Here's part of the truth. And at a soul level, we're like, yeah, that makes sense. There's got to be something more than this physical reality. There's got to be something more, within society, right? And so we're given part of the truth, and that resonates with people, and then they're stuck. Then they're locked into that dogma. They're locked into that belief. They're locked into that religion. And because they're satisfied enough with a part of the truth, they get stuck there. Right? They're locked in. Okay, that's not helping anyone. And I've just observed that a lot of the Q followers and believers and in that I observe it as another game. I observe it as potentially being detrimental because there are parts of the truth that are definitely in there. And that's amazing for me to observe, huge amounts of humanity saying no more adrenochrome and believing in shadow government and understanding something's stirring. But it also leaves a huge portion of the population who's into that very vulnerable to whatever else is being said within that umbrella. Does that make sense? Okay? All I'm trying to say here is don't get stuck with that belief system, just like I don't want you guys to just get stuck with my content. You can't say that this is all that there is, because it's not. I am very limited and very ignorant in a lot of ways to a lot of the other information that's out there that I don't even cover, because I just simply haven't had that experience. I have not astral traveled or channeled or downloaded that information. I don't want you guys getting stuck. It's really important. We don't need to be creating another religion, right? We don't need to be accepting everything that is because a piece of it makes sense. I want you to remain vigilant. I want you to remain critical. I want you to remain questioning. I want you to remain curious. I never want you to stay in one place thinking that that is all that there is, no matter what it may be. And I hope that we can all agree on that. Keep your minds open, keep your minds sharp, keep your third eye questioning, and continue to navigate all content with discernment. All right, I just want to make that statement, and I hope that for most of you, I don't come across as, anti-Christian or anti-Semitic, or, because I'm not. I have literally no judgment, and I'm not against any of that, and I don't follow any sort of belief or dogma out there, including the Q, including the Trump, even though it sounds like a lot of my stuff is in tandem with that. But once again, there's part of the fear. You guys are like, yeah, that makes sense. They're finally releasing and disclosing all the information. So if we get trapped into thinking that all the information and all of the truth is being disclosed under that one umbrella, group, that's a problem, because you're going to get stuck there and you're not going to be questioning beyond that. And that's really important. And okay, cool. Sorry about that tangent. So what does 5D justice look like? Ultimately, the ones who have been creating the crimes against humanity are being persecuted as we speak. Some of them have run away, but ultimately at the end of the day, at the end of maybe this 4-year cycle that we're in, they are going to be they're going to be basically off this planet, because a lot of them were overriding universal law, which is manipulating free will, manipulating karma. They're going to get persecuted. And I do believe that there is something along the lines of a jail system within the Galactic Federation, but I've never personally seen it, and maybe that's something that I ask them in the next GFL video. Okay, next question from Bree Hamida. Hi EA, do you feel that our gender in past lives factor into our sexual preference in this life? For example, being a straight man in a past life and a woman now makes me more attracted to women, or even transgender situations. Okay, good, yeah. So I can't say that strictly being a straight male in a past lifetime is going to make you into a lesbian in this lifetime. I do believe that our sexuality, our relationships are also largely based on the contracts that we need to be in as well. And I know for me, in many past lifetimes, I've had this need to explore all the genders, all the sexualities, all the different experiences that one could have as a human being, especially coming from being a gray. It's like, I don't want to just get locked into a male body. I want to experience it all. I don't want to get locked into just a heterosexual relationship. Let's explore it all, right? So for me, it's all been about exploring the human body in all of the different ways in this lifetime. So yes, I do, and especially for, what is it called, transgender individuals as well. Of course, you're going to come into this lifetime being male the majority of your lives in the past and saying, I'm missing something, right? And even my parents, as a kid, they had this book that they wrote all these quotes, these funny quotes down from my brother and I. And a lot of the quotes, especially when I was younger, were, I just TMI, but I guess one time I was maybe around 4, we were around 4 and 5 because he's just a year older. And, I guess I watched him peeing in the toilet standing up. And I turned to my dad or my mom and I said, so when is mine going to come in? And I was kind of a little bit obsessed with having a penis and where is it, and when is it going to come in and why do I look different? Where's my body, right? So, and sometimes that's a bit of an issue nowadays when we have the gender transitioning surgery, right? It's a very sticky situation, and I've never really spoken publicly on it because there's so many different angles to it, right? It's difficult. But yes, I do believe that us feeling like we're not in the right body is related to past lifetimes, and even sexuality can be related to past lifetimes. So we can consider that to be karmic energy coming through, while at the same time we have those contracts and what we need to experience as well. Good question, Bree. Thank you. Okay, so this is really fascinating. This is a new member, Erica Classy, and I'm just going to read this. It's quite long, but I want to read it. Okay, since we have been bringing up the theories about religion and reptilians, I wonder what your thoughts are on this, or if you know more. It was explained how the devil was portrayed as a serpent in the Bible, in the Adam and Eve story, which is also a representation of the Kundalini that resides within all of us. There's a saying from God in it that sounds like, do not eat the apple from the tree, as your eyes will be open to knowledge. The tree of knowledge, right? Maybe not word for word, I'm not familiar with it. This is what she's saying. It very much sounds like our third eye opening. So the voice telling her to do it was her intuition, and really that there is no Satan. Am I the only one feeling like it's been right in our face all along? How could people not see it, I wonder? I'm just aware of how much of religion is corrupt. Christianity most of all, with reptilians being in control. Am I interpreting anything wrong? Let's get deeper into it. Awesome. Okay, so absolutely. I mean, biting into the apple in the tree of knowledge is opening yourself up to all that is, and really opening yourself up to corruption. But what I believe, how I interpreted that going into childhood and, remembering some of the stories of the Bible, how I interpreted that came down to, what was it? Okay, free will. So the tree and the apple represented free will. And I'm not sure. We could easily say that the snake is a Kundalini awakening. We could also easily say that the snake is a representation of reptilian beings. I'm not necessarily sure where the snake comes in, but I haven't channeled it, right? So this is just my opinion. This is just kind of like observing it from a critical eye, would be that the tree of knowledge is free will, right? And that it's evil to have free will. So the second that we have free will, it means that we can disobey God. Before she ate the apple from the tree, you were only obeying God because God provided everything, and God is the one judging you, and you are, obeying God by, aligning to his wants and needs and what have you. By eating the apple, you're disobeying God with the power that you have, which is free will. If God was truly all powerful and all, in control, he would have actually never had the tree of knowledge. He would have never had the apple there for her to eat, right? If that makes sense. But it was there, and she had the option to eat the apple, to take that knowledge in, to understand all that is. And she utilized her free will to do that. So what is religion? Pretty much all religion, save a couple few, right? But what is religion teaching us? It's teaching us to obey a one God, or potentially multiple gods, because they are more powerful, because they know better, because they're the ones judging you at the end of the day, or what have you, right? So it's really important for us to be critical. So thank you, Erica, for bringing this up and questioning and making us think in a different way. So that's just my interpretation, not my channeling around it. But I do think that it is related to free will. And ultimately, we have the ability to disobey God, which doesn't make sense at all because we are a fractal of source frequency, right? We should have the ability to create and recreate this reality around us. We should have the ability to do certain things, and which we are doing, and then there's morality involved and stuff like that. So it's just my opinion, but I'm glad that you brought it up, Erica, because that's going to get everyone else's mind going on to, what other stories from the Bible can we critically think about? I actually, on a side note, I downloaded the Bible app the other day because Monique, my mother-in-law, she has the Bible app. And so I'm like, I wonder if I could just take a passage from the Bible and I can interpret it in a more open-minded spiritual way. Because like I said, just like the whole Q movement, you give a little bit, enough for people to chew on and say, yeah, that really resonates, and then you skew everything else, right? I mean, the Q movement could potentially be a false light movement. And that's why I don't get involved with even channeling it, because it's not up to me to say this is wrong and this is right. It's up to me to help you guys, all of you, open your minds and question everything. That's just what my mission is just to allow you to utilize your free will and your critical ability to discern. Okay, interesting question from Nina. Hi, Elizabeth. I have a question about the dark side. You say that they are checking YouTube videos. Really what I said was just there's censorship on YouTube. I don't imagine that a reptilian being on this planet is surfing through YouTube. I just don't imagine it, right? How I see the whole pyramid system working is you've got the elites, less than 1% of the actual shadow government, the people on the planet being the reptilian shapeshifters. And then there's this huge chunk in the middle of the pyramid where all of the people who work for, okay, I just do that in quotes because they don't know that they work for them, but all of the people who are feeding the system are just human beings just doing their thing. And if you work for YouTube and you work on the censorship division of YouTube, and all of a sudden a new censorship rule comes out and the word spirituality or awakening is censored, that's not a reptilian that's checking all of the YouTube videos. That's reptilians at the top saying we've got to squash this movement, and then the puppets, the human beings, are just doing their job and they're getting their paycheck, right? So how much can we really blame the human beings who are just doing the bidding of these beings? Hopefully I'm holding that vibration that those middlemen, those humans who are doing that bidding, are going to wake up and rebel or question or just let go of their job or what have you. Now, when I was in the desert, right, just this past week and a half, there were so many chemtrails. Like, I can't even explain to you, every day, nonstop, just lines on top of lines. And the craziest thing is, there's a normal Boeing 747 plane that's flying right beside this chemtrail plane. The Boeing 747 has 0 trails behind it, and all of the planes that are emitting all of these these chemicals in the air are just spraying away, right? I mean, it's so apparent. It's just so obvious, right? So for me, it's like, how much can we really blame the pilot who is flying the plane, who is pressing a button and releasing all of the chemicals in the air? How much can we really blame him? He's a guy, he probably has a family, he's got to provide for that family. What I have seen with chemtrails is the scientists who have created the chemical concoctions doing the whistleblowing, right? The pilots are just told, you're doing this for the betterment of the planet because you're actually helping the ozone layer repair itself by spraying all this shit into the air. So they actually think that they're doing a good thing. So where do we rest the blame, right? Hopefully those people, the middlemen of society who are supporting the top of the pyramid, hopefully those people wake up. Hopefully those people begin to be the whistleblowers as well. That's what I'm hoping, right? So anyway, yes. Okay, so back to the question. But for example, you are telling us that the good reps are preparing for a rebellion against the bad reps, and as I understand, the bad ones have no idea of what's going on underground. But if you or anyone else is telling this on a YouTube channel, wouldn't the bad ones hear that somehow and prepare themselves? Great question. And I love how critical you're getting, and I love how deep you're going, and it's amazing. It's so needed. So ultimately, the bad reps, okay, they know a lot. They know a lot of other plans, and sometimes they don't know a lot of things as well, thank goodness. And they have, what I find is that they have so much of an ego of saying, yeah, sure, try your best. Yeah, sure, people are going to think you're crazy. Yeah, sure, keep putting it out there. You're just a conspiracy theorist because it's a term that we made to devalue, who you really are and what you're talking about. So they have such an ego. We've gotten away with this for centuries. Come at me, bro. That's where they're at. Their ego is going to be their downfall. And I'm sure, if any one of them is listening right now, you're going down. Oh yeah, and one more thing too I want to say. They don't have the resources anymore. They do not have the resources anymore to track us down one by one. And that's why we have our strength in numbers. So important. All right, next question, Adam Roberts. You stated recently that there is now a waiting list for souls wanting to incarnate into Earth in the near future. This got me wondering about who and what gets to decide which souls will be able to incarnate at a certain time and location. How does the process work? And if Earth is now a hotspot destination for soul incarnation, then I would assume that this might include reptilian beings as well. How does that work? So this is cool, Adam, and you're a new member as well. So great question. I just want to mention that with the reptilian souls, I've never really thought about their reincarnation to the planet, but it's true. They're in a physical body. The physical body only has a certain amount of lifetime or capacity until it starts to decompose or what have you. And for the reptilian souls and bodies, it's the same souls, reptilian souls, that get reincarnated on this planet over and over and over again until they basically break free of their prison. That's why there is the reptilian movement right now, is because they're breaking free of the prison that they have been in this entire time. And so they're waking up, which is great. So, I mean, who and what gets to decide the reincarnation process? Ultimately, it's the vibration of your soul. It's like, don't imagine it as a linear thing that all these souls are lining up in the afterworld or in that soul place and just waiting to come down here. It's kind of like it's the right vibrational frequency. If you imagine planet Earth as a puzzle, and your vibration is that puzzle piece that has just been waiting to come down here and fit into the puzzle, okay? That really is what determines if you're suitable, if you're ready, if you're the right individual to come here. So it's not necessarily like a lineup or a waiting list in that way. It's just a soul frequency. And some souls bide their time waiting to come to planet Earth, and some souls eventually end up moving on and going elsewhere. And I mean, I'm sure I could talk a long time about all of that, but I'll just kind of mention it there. Okay, Raquel Kusman, I've heard you speak of the reptilians rebelling when the time is right. When this happens, do you think that we'll see it on the surface, or will this be an underground operation that we will not be made aware of? Great question. So ultimately, I want to say that we probably will never really hear or see the reptilian rebel movement fighting against its own people. I don't think that we'll be able to see that. Maybe we might have bombs going off underground, which we perceive as an earthquake or what have you, because that's happened many times before. So maybe that's one of the effects. But I also want to say that I can now never say never. This past year, we've had the disclosure of the Galactic Federation. I never thought that was going to happen. I never thought that was going to happen. And it happened in 2020. Now we have the disclosure of aliens and interdimensionals, which has been plugged into this stimulus bill, right? So bring it on, right? I mean, if we had the reptilian disclosure of the fact that they have been in the government, and it's not just me and David Icke saying it, right? Then I think the world would wake up. I think it would be scary, a scary way to wake up, but I think the world would wake up quite rapidly. Okay, just a few more questions here. Suzanne Vermes, how do future timelines work, and how does the Arcturian Timeline Council manage future timelines? So ultimately, the Arcturian Council, they will look at the planet as a whole and take a look at the most probable potential timelines moving forward. I personally love timelines. I think it's so fascinating. I think we need to spend a lot more focus on this, even within quantum physics. So that's like at a huge macro level, right? The Arcturians and the Arcturian Timeline Council, they look at things at a huge level, which is difficult because we need 8 billion people to come together thinking about the right things, creating the future. And it's us as 8 billion very separated individuals coming together on one mindset versus, the reptilians who kind of have their control, right, over everything. So what do I want to say about that? So that's a macro level. At an individual level, I'll kind of explain how future timelines work for me. And I've been working with precognition, which is just being a psychic and having the ability to tap into future timelines. I've been working with that energy for about 10 years now, since I was 18. And let me say it this way. in the morning, okay, let's bring it back to the coffee, the tea, the hot chocolate example. In the morning, when I wake up, I can either make myself a coffee, a tea, or a hot chocolate, or turmeric, or whatever, all the different choices. But let's leave it coffee, tea, hot chocolate, okay, for now. And what I can do, this is really fascinating. I'm just like so interested in all of this. What I'm able to do is, in that moment, I can close my eyes, tap into the energy of all three timelines, and take a look at the aftermath and the follow-through of all three of those timelines and different decisions that I would have made. What's the follow-through of my morning if I choose coffee? What's the follow-through of my morning if I choose tea? What's the follow-through of my morning if I choose hot chocolate? Every choice we make spirals us and spins us into a brand new timeline with brand new opportunities. And sometimes if you're contracted to have a certain thing happen to you, so this is a very simple example, but if I were to be contracted to drink the coffee, but I used my free will to choose tea. Maybe I had the tea, and an hour after having the tea, I went to the coffee maker and I poured myself a coffee after I drank the tea, right? So regardless of where your free will pulls you, those contracts are still going to end up on one of those timelines, if that makes sense. I love looking at timelines because I think it's so fascinating. It's like the butterfly effect, how one choice unravels everything and it leads us to a new destination, or it circles us back around into the same old contracts. I do want to put out another quantum physics video moving forward because that stuff gets me so pumped up. And of course, I've got my lemon to prove the Mandela Effect, and how weird things can really get with that. So like I said, I'm telling you right now that I'm manifesting an orange tree and a grapefruit tree on the property. That would be amazing. And we are in Southern California, so that's possible. All right, speaking of coffee, this was my choice this morning. All right, Danny Fox. Hey Elizabeth, are we able to see beings from different dimensions in the physical? For example, could a third dimensional human be able to perceive an eighth dimensional Palladian with their own physical eyes? The bigger the gap between dimensions, the more difficult it is for us to see and perceive and interpret those vibrations in the physical. So even for me, whenever an eighth dimensional Palladian comes to visit me, I get a feeling or a sensation in my body. And then only when I close my physical eyes and open my third eye, am I able to see the astral being of the Palladian standing in the room? Or sometimes it's like I can see every detail of that being standing in my living room, which is quite rare because it does take them a lot of energy and strength to come down here. It takes me no energy or time at all to go up there. As you guys have seen, I can freaking astral travel to the 12th dimension and get some information and come back in less than 2 minutes. It's really wild. So what I do want to say is a lot of us, when we do end up physically seeing things with our eyes, we end up seeing things that are more so in the 4th dimension frequency and 5th dimension frequency. And this is going to happen more and more often moving forward. So I'm sure a lot of you have been seeing and lately seeing like weird flashes out of the corner of your eye or shadows out of the corner, especially in the periphery of the eye. When we look at things directly, we're expecting to see something. And if we're expecting to look and see a living room, right, that's in front of you, that's empty, what we're going to see is a living room in front of us that's empty. The reason why we tend to see a lot of things in the 4th dimension density out of the corner of our eye in the periphery is because our conscious mind isn't creating that state of being, if that makes sense. And that comes down to quantum physics as well. If we expect to see a physical, observable object, we're going to see it. None of us expect to see an alien in our living room, right? So you have to be very open-minded in order to see that. I believe that it is possible to, with our physical eyes, start seeing beings more and more, but we're going to start seeing things like auras and potentially even chakras or chakra colors, and even like ghosts and spirits. We're going to see all of that realm before we start seeing full-on alien beings, even though interdimensional beings do have a tendency to walk around. Even at alien conferences, they're there all the time, and we just can't see them. It gets harder the more of a gap there is between the third dimension frequency and, say, like an 8th dimension, 9th dimension, 10th dimension. And last question here, from Nicolina, 1987, new member, so thank you for being here. I have seen a significantly large percentage of light workers and star seeds experiencing autoimmune issues. Is this due to stored trauma in the body, or is it more environmental? So personally, I was diagnosed with lupus, which is a huge autoimmune disease, when I was 18. When I learned that this was something that I was genetically predisposed to, but it was my vibration that allowed it to express itself within my genes, I decided to, hey, if I created this, I can uncreate it, and I decided to heal myself, and that's what I did. And luckily, knock on wood, I have not had any symptoms like I was having back then. Swollen joints, rashes, I mean, you name it, it was bad. And so what I believe, and I've definitely had a lot of channeled sessions with light workers and starseeds with a ton of autoimmune disease. And what I believe that it really comes from is when a soul is out of the body for long enough, it will create that dis-ease, that disease in the body, right? When a soul is out of the body long enough, I truly believe from having my own autoimmune experiences and issues that I was just really, really, really out of my body. I was going through a bad breakup. I moved my, locations. I went to a city. I went to a university. I knew no one there. I had no friends. There was a lot of new stuff, and it was very overwhelming. And I believe that that's what kind of expressed those genes in my body, is being out of my body, not wanting to deal with the current state of being and life as it is, right? So yeah. Great questions, guys, as always. Just a reminder, the Q&A post where the members can comment on that always shows up at the end of Monday's video in the community section on YouTube. Now that I have my streaming software set up, I can do a live video on Thursdays for just my members. So members, check that out, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. This Thursday, I'm going to do a live stream just for you guys. Very excited about that. And yeah, and then tomorrow's video is going to be all about abundance and manifestation and generating wealth for yourself, because as starseeds and light workers, we have to get out of the lack mentality. It holds us back, and it's not good. Make sure you check out the link that I just posted in the comments section for all of my offerings for Galactic Federation messages and my online school and courses. Check all of that out. Even my merch is on there. And right after this, I'm going to hop into another live video. Hopefully it actually is live, and I'm going to unbox my 100,000 YouTube award. So that's going to be really cool. I love all of you so much. I guess I'll see you in a couple of minutes, and I will definitely see you tomorrow for the tools in how to live the most abundant and financially free life you could ever possibly imagine. Bye for now.